Amanda here, thanks for joining me. So today I'm going to show you how to make some cute embellishments. I'm just going to really quickly show you a little mini kit that I made, and then we're going to go ahead and make them. So this is a little kit that I came up with whilst I was off Poola. I'm better now. It was actually COVID. It was confirmed that it was COVID, but I'm fine. Back to normal. Just a bit of a cough. So I wanted these to be little inspiration cards that you can layer up with other papers to make them shabby looking. Shabby vintage is my kind of style, so it's kind of in between the two. And also I've done some embellishments to go with them. I've used my cherry blossom flowers, which I've used on my Victorian women kit, so that kind of would go with it nicely, but I just really love cherry blossoms. So we've got a sheet of 21 of these little cards with little quotes on, and you've got 3 of each. Alright, I've done them in a nice bold font so that you can see them clearly and they jump out from the page when you use them. I've backed them on like a tatty ripped kind of an edge, and layered on vintage paper, so they look cute. Then to go with it, we've got an embellishment sheet that you can cut out and use. I've done some what I call ripping pages. Now these would be great to use in a journal. As a journal page, this is a ledger with some lacy background, and this is just like a grungy looking paper with some pink tones, and so you could use it in a journal, but I make these so you can rip them up, you know, and use them to make clusters and that kind of thing. So really these are inspirational tag clusters, I suppose. So, and then we've got one with various wallpapers and things on, and borders, okay, again for you to rip up, okay. So, or you could use it as like a collage sheet. And then I made this one because we're playing on it, we're pretty. I made a pink graph paper with a little floral cluster. Again, you can use it as a background card, you know, background page for a journal. I did make it for ripping up for the pink, but I just decided it were pretty with that on, so that it would be have more than one use. I like to try and see more than one use in things, so you can use them for ripping up or you can use them as journal pages. Alright, so let's get cracking. Right, so I have designed these with a raggedy edge, and I've done that on purpose. So the way that I'm going to do it is I'm not going to cut these with scissors, I'm going to rip them. So let's find a one that I like. I really like See Beauty in the Everyday. Collect moments, not think imperfection is beauty. Love that saying. Very. Okay, so I sped this bit up and did a voiceover because I'm still a bit coffee and spluttery. So I have designed the edges of these to be, you know, raggedy. So I've used my ripping ruler. You can cut them if you like, and then rough the edges up with a pair of scissors. Okay, so I'm just going to do a couple on film, and then I'll do the rest off camera, and you'll see the photo obviously when the video comes on your feed. So what I'm explaining there is I don't put borders on my tags or anything like that. Some people do put brown borders on when they're designing. I don't, because you might want to edge with a different colour, like anything. For example, here I'm using more of a pink tone. I'm using Victorian velvet. But you can use whatever you like, or you can leave them as they are. They look just as nice. Now I did print these out on 200 GSM paper, navigator paper. You can do what you like because we're going to layer them anyway, and the best way that these look pretty is to add lots and lots of ripped layers. Here I'm just explaining about some of the embellishments. Now some of these are made nicely, so they'll fit perfect on the tags, and some are made a little bit larger so that you can use them in your other crafting, because I like my kits to be multifunctional. I don't just want them to be a one-trick pony. So I'm ripping up some of what I call ripping pages. These are great for collage, great for backgrounds, and perfect here for adding lots of layers. So yeah, lots and lots of layers. I think a lot of the ones that I ended up finishing had maybe 3 layers of paper, all different, florals, plain, craft card, and just rip them slightly larger each time and layer them up. It looks really pretty. The more layers you've got and the more ripped edges you've got, the more pretty it's going to look. And obviously you can make these either smaller or larger. You can make them into dangles, you can add them to pockets, pages, tucks, anything, you know, as an embellishment for a tag or some kind of focal point. So here I'm just trimming out some of the things that I want to use, deciding what I'm going to do. I should have cut them all out beforehand, but you know me, I craft in real time. So I've done everything in nice soft pink tones, and I've made them a little bit softer with the Victorian Velvet, which is a beautiful, beautiful colour. If you don't have it in your collection, I do advise, you know, Victorian Velvet and Vintage Photo and Tea-Dye are my go-to. So here I'm just playing, ripping bits up, having a look, slide them underneath and see what looks pretty and what looks nice. You probably find that your very first one that you do takes you, you know, might take you a good 5 or 10 minutes to decide how you want it. But I find when I'm making embellishments that once I've got the first one out of the way, the rest all seem to fall into place. Use the same kind of recipe, as it were, and then just do a variation on it. So when you find something that looks good and that works, just keep doing the same thing over and over. So there you can see that I'm just roughing up the edges with the edge of my scissors and adding the little stamp embellishment there. I'm also going to be using bits of lace. One of my friends has recently given me some lace, and my lovely friend Kay gave me some. So I've got quite a collection of nice little laces, and you only need a really tiny bit, so your lace goes a long, long way. But it just adds texture. You've got, you know, your paper along with lace. It makes it pretty, and I like to call my kind of style shabby vintage. It's not quite shabby chic and it's not quite vintage. It's a bit of an in-between, and so I like to add some laces where I can for just a little bit of softness and prettiness. If you've got a scrap box, that is perfect for this kind of cluster idea. So it's a variation on a cluster. We've all made clusters, but these have got inspirational word tags, and I'm going to make mine into little charms. You will see as we proceed. I'll add eyelets, and you know, you can add them to your tags, you can add them to paper clips, or you know, just glue them straight onto your pockets, etc. So just keep ripping layers and adding them underneath until you know, until it looks pretty, making sure that each layer has a purpose. You know, don't just layer for the sake of layering. Make sure you can see the layers underneath what you're doing. Otherwise, if you can't, then it's a waste of a layer. So keep going and keep adjusting until you can see every little tiny component, because then it makes the eye look over the project. Even though it's just something as simple as a cluster, it's interesting things to look at, and if you make your journals to sell, it's interesting for the recipient to have a look. Even at a little cluster, there's a lot going on and a lot to look at, and it just makes it more interesting. So here you can see I'm adding a very, very soft, very delicate lace here, layering it underneath. You do have to be patient and wait for it to dry, depending on what kind of glue you use. Just be patient. You can use hot glue, but I'm not a big fan of hot glue on paper crafts, because unless you're really quick with it, you end up with a hard feeling. So the butterflies, you can punch out with your butterfly punchers if you're lucky enough to own any, like I am. You know, just centre them, saves you having to cut them. And obviously you can get smaller butterfly punches and you can punch them out it's smaller. You're going to retain the shape and the image, but you're just going to get a very quick and easy butterfly. So here I'm adding one of the little tiny embroidered roses, and then I remember about my gems. get your gems out. It's something that we tend to collect because they're shiny and pretty, and then they sit in boxes for years and we just don't use them, or maybe that's just me. So I'm on a bit of a mission to try and use some. I'm going to add as many as I can to my clusters to make them look, just add a little bit of sparkle because it just looks pretty. And then we're going to add the eyelets, which I do off camera so that I don't make a mess of it. I'm back. I chickened off to do my eyelets off camera. Right, so I've added some pretty gold tones. Doesn't have to be, you know, what they call it, the bronze ones all the time. So, now, you can get these on Amazon, fairly cheap, ball chain, or some call it dog chain. And it undoes like so. You wrap it round, you can cut it to size and put it on. Now, I managed to find one, okay, in my stash, one. So the other thing you can do obviously is add a garment pin, that's what they're called. So I've got an alternative to this. Now I'm going to put this one on here, yeah, and it's quite long, so I'm probably going to cut it down because you can cut these to size, you see, these little chains. Probably cut it down. Don't use your best, you know, paper snips. Don't use them for cutting. I've got these like heavy duty ones for cutting anything like that. And then obviously that will attach to, I don't know, whatever you want, a tag or something like that. That's pretty. Okay, I've zoomed right in now, so you'll have to excuse my horrible hands. So I was like, what else can you do? Well, you can hang things with just seam binding. You know, hang them to your bulb pins with just some seam binding. And I did find this in my stash. I used to sell it years ago. So if you're one of my old lace monsters, you'll have some of this. And it's like beaded trim. And we used to stick it on our shabby chic projects willy-nilly to add a little bit of sparkle. So what you can do with this is, and I've only had this concept in my head, I've not tried it in real, so it might not work, but you can tie it through there, put it through there, yeah? Then measure, I don't know, guesstimate how much you would need, okay? Snip some off, put it round your tag or whatever. Now, because you haven't got the ball chain fastener, what you can then do is either tie that off with a bit of string, okay? Or just twist it a minute. Okay, just hold it there a minute. Or get some seam binding, okay? And then if you wrap it around, you need about 10 pairs of hands. So yeah, just go grow another pair of hands for a minute. You know, as women, I'm surprised we haven't learned to tie bows with our feet yet, at the same time as, you know, doing all the other jobs that we have to do. Okay, so, you know, if you've got somebody to help you, then that would be good. But, you know, if you just take your time, you can, or skinny ribbon, or skinny string, but seam binding will hold it, okay? So you can tie it around your project, tie it in a little bow. Tail in a little bow. Okay, might not be the best idea. You might be better with string, I don't know. Trial and error. But, you know, there's an answer for everything. My husband says I've got an answer for everything. My husband says I've got an answer for everything. No, there is always a way around things. So if you don't have the ball and loop, that looks really cool. You know, get some beaded string out and make your own. With a little bit of practice and a little bit of fiddling. You know, remember, I've literally just thought this idea up. I've not tried it. So you might need to do a little bit of fiddling, a little bit of faffing, get your bow nice, find a thinner seam binding, but it does work. So there you go. There's a couple of pretty ideas. I'll go away and make some more, and I'll share the pictures on my social media. Alright, thanks for watching. Take care. Go make some of these inspirational word clusters. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.